Welcome to Friendly Jordy's podcast presents Shawarma FM.
Hell yeah.
How are you doing, Miss Love? You've been well?
I've been good, yeah.
Just got a big episode. We've got everyone out there is waiting to hear your take on the recent political developments.
Well, I haven't read a thing, so let's go nuts.
Everyone looks at Trump and then looks at yourself.
That's true.
So you have to be prepared.
I'm more famous than Trump, for sure.
All right, let's start with the first one. So apparently, just today, Albo and Labour Party have tabled a new hate crime bill.
Yeah, the Greens are battling it.
So apparently it turns out, again, because it hasn't been confirmed yet.
Yeah.
But so there were some initial apprehensions that coalition Liberals had. And now Labour is claiming that they've come up with a resolution to them after changing a few things. And so now Labour and Liberal are on board, which means it should pass the parliament.
What did the Libs want?
So they're afraid that this particular bill is about outlawing certain organizations that might be considered anti-Semitic or, you know, whatever. So the main two organizations that they're looking to outlaw is Hizbut Tahrir, which is an Islamic outfit.
Right.
It's a pan-global Islamic outfit.
Right.
And the National Socialist Network. The government is claiming...
Oh, yeah, right.
So that's the neo-Nazi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the government is claiming that the reason why they haven't been able to outlaw them as yet is because they're not openly inciting violence.
Are they outlawed? What's the protocol with, like, for instance, in America or in England, are those, like, those kinds of groups outlawed or no?
So different groups are outlawed in different places. This particular Hizbut Tahrir, the Islamic one, is outlawed in most countries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And they are like quite a nasty one, if I may say.
Really?
So. Yeah. They're just like a global jihadist.
Yeah.
And Islamic,
the old
global, trying to set up a caliphate.
Yep.
Anyways, but the apprehension, no one has an apprehension about outlawing them. But they're saying is like, because this is being done so quickly, that it might encompass certain other organizations, for example, pro-life lobbies or whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's, an incitement and someone might feel fear. So do they fall into this definition? So we haven't seen the final thing that's been passed. So I don't know exactly what is happening. Maybe actually this is a bad time to record this, but maybe by tomorrow we would have found out.
Right.
But so I don't know exactly what the new corrections are and what the final thing is, but the initial bill that was tabled, a lot of people had apprehensions to it. I'll be honest with you. It's not just the Liberals. They were including like even the two Jewish bodies. One of the Jewish bodies didn't agree with it. Right. And even the lawyers, because I went through this and I looked at some of the points. Again, I don't know exactly what the final bill is, but this is based on the pre-amended ones. Yeah. And there was a few things that, for example, no one is against outlawing terrorists, right? So this but this isn't about that. But there are certain ambiguities. For example, one of the things that you can be prosecuted against is, for example, holding a neo-Nazi sign, right? Or like a swastika or something, because these are hate symbols. Yeah, which again is fine, but
hey, if you flip it, it's fine, right?
Then it's Buddhist. There's that, but it's also like you don't know. Like, say someone is holding a sign without truly knowing what it means. Okay, I'll give you like an example. There's politically charged environment. People are protesting all the time. Now there might be some like, Newtown type girl that's holding a flag that she believes represents freedom for Palestinians, but it actually is like a fucking Hezbollah flag. Right. Now, she didn't know that. So if someone asked her, I didn't know that they were that. Will she be prosecuted? In these laws, she could come into the prosecution without even knowing exactly what it is, right? So the intention aspect of
that's not good.
That's not good. But again, these were being worked out. I don't know what the final thing is. Right. But then there's certain other aspects. And this is, again, this is the more difficult one because there are terms used in the bill. For example, a term used is unacceptable risk. So if someone poses an unacceptable risk, right? Mm-hmm. Now, what's an unacceptable risk and to whom an unacceptable? It's going to be, what I'm saying is like, it's going to be hard for courts to decide what unacceptable risk is. So now, for example, the coalition comes into power and they believe that any kind of protest has an unacceptable risk, right? Whereas Labour government, legal protesting is allowed. I mean, that isn't the unacceptable risk. The unacceptable risk is someone is like, you know, what I'm saying is like this, the term unacceptable risk isn't an objective thing that you can just look at and be like, okay, this is what unacceptable means.
How can you draw that line?
Exactly, right? So what courts will have to do in this case is go through statutory interpretation, which is what the parliament initially intended. There's going to be a whole, so what I'm saying is it's not clear.
Yeah.
They can even argue, honestly, if they pass it as it is now, you could even argue in court that they didn't follow proper legal procedure to enact this bill. It was done without deliberation. There were enough. There could be a lot of arguments that can be raised. So I'm saying this isn't a bulletproof type of legislation.
Yeah, gotcha.
And what was the other thing? So unacceptable risk, the symbols. Then there's a certain aspect of retrospectivity in this bill. So the general legal concept is that if I make a law today, then from today onwards, anyone that falls under that law will be prosecuted. People before that, not necessarily. Will not be prosecuted because the law didn't exist then. But in this bill, they're trying to make it retrospectively. So anything that was done before could become...
That's crazy.
Again, it is crazy. It is crazy. But I'm just telling you how, these are the original form of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like Albo is like... he's... how can I put it? He's kind of like scrambling. Mm-hmm. Like he's kind of like, shit. Like... he's scrambling to save. Not that I think it's not fair to put it on him at all, but like I think the perception is he fucked up.
He's in a terrible situation because he's on one hand
politically it's really bad politically.
It's because there's no win for him in this, right?
I know.
So if he goes too hard on this, then everyone's going to go against him because freedom of speech, and also
doesn't go hard enough. He's like seen as weak.
He's like weak. And the irony is, if he goes too hard, the opposition is going to criticizing him for going too hard. If he goes too low, the opposition is going to criticize him for too low.
Bad politically.
So he's stuck. But either way, I sympathize with him. I understand where he's coming from. He has to do something. But at the end of the day, just passing a legislation in haste is not the best way to go about it.
Do you think Howard went through this with the Port Arthur massacre?
So the thing with the Port Arthur massacre is so there's two separate things. There's the gun law legislation, which... unfortunately for the gun fans, including Johnny from the other day, that one actually has like bipartisan support. Right. The only party that would be against it are Nationals, and they're not big enough to stop it. Right. So that's actually less, controversial in some sense. But the hate crime stuff is the right, the coalition and the Nationals really like the idea of like making Muslim organizations illegal. Yeah. But what they're afraid of is that this might come and haunt them as well.
Right. Okay. So it's like, two prongs.
So that is like, again, the situation that they're stuck in. So no matter what they agree to, even though they'll agree to something, but they're going to criticize Labour for it.
Yeah, right.
No matter what. But I'm saying, I'm not talking in terms of political strategy here. There's people that understand political strategy more than me. I'm just talking in terms of legislation itself. I can't control like how this is going to be perceived or what the optics are, but we can try and ensure that the legislation is good.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And if that needs some more time, if that needs more deliberations, then that's a good idea, not a bad idea.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to look for it because there was a list of different stakeholders that were for it or against it, and I'm going to be honest, majority were against it. And saying exactly the same thing. We agree with the purpose of this legislation. We agree that there's a need for this, but we need to take more time and deliberate on this more.
Right. I see.
But anyway, so what is your opinion on the curtailing of free speech?
I there's certain things that I agree with and certain things I don't agree with. Basically, all the stuff that you just said, I disagree with. All the stuff that's like retroactively.
Again, I want to make this clear before someone goes back at me. All of these observations are based on the intended bill that was tabled, I want to say 5-6 days ago, not the one that is being deliberated right now in the parliament. And it might be different. Maybe they've taken some of this stuff out. I know that they've taken out a racial component from it,
right?
Where they were prosecuting people. The Nationals and Coalition said that racial shouldn't be included in this because
I'm surprised they said that.
Yeah. But they were happy with other categories, so there was some changing in that, and they just sort of upped the already anti-discrimination law that was existing to cover the. Anyway, so there's a lot of stuff going out. So I'm not commenting on what the final thing that has been agreed to is.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
So, I would say a lot of that stuff not good, but I would say what I stand by. I don't like the face coverings thing. That's fine. Don't do you can't. I think that's just like dangerous. The face, it's any level. And I think, look, there's certain groups that probably. I mean, look, it's so hard to say. If a group is inciting violence, it should probably be illegal.
Yeah. So.
But what does that mean?
Illegal. That is already illegal.
Okay.
Inciting violence.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they've now come for example, this Hizbul Tahrir and the National Socialist Network, they're not openly inciting violence.
Well, then, if you're not,
but they are.
Is an ISIS flag illegal to wave?
Yes, but they're not doing that either.
Yeah.
So that's why it's hard to outlaw them based on. So that's why they want to include something else that is below the threshold of inciting violence,
right?
Which is vilification, discrimination. The other thing is, it's also like there's so much stuff, but now it's not just like the consequence of what you do, but some of the new legislation is, does the person feel intimidated, as opposed to you did something that was, Nah,
I think that's not good. That's not good because it becomes. What about it's so blurry, Like, what if someone does something satirically?
So that's actually one of the exceptions that was tabled by everyone.
Yeah.
And that's an exception that they will create. So that one, the satire one, is going to be fine. I think it's more like, let's say I say something to you. I say like, Miss Love, I hate honkies like you.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't know what that means.
I think it's like a prejudicial word for white people. But now, let's say you feel intimidated. I could have previously argued that, like, well, I said that to him, and sure, that was mean.
Yeah.
But I didn't say that he needs to be harmed.
Yeah.
I didn't incite public.
Yeah.
But I think now the threshold is being lowered to the point where, like, at least in terms of like the anti-Semitism context, that in itself can be constituted a crime as well.
Yeah, no, that's not good.
Yeah,
that's not good. I think probably
this has bipartisan support from Labor and Liberals.
I tend to think that those kind of I think that
but they just want to find a loophole to be able to say it to, like.
Yeah,
I guess.
I think they're avoiding the actual issue here, which is intelligence and it's very hard, I think, to mandate culture or something like that. So I think they should be probably focusing more on like the intelligence institutions and, maybe immigration.
And there's two Jewish bodies that are supposed to be stakeholders. One is the Jewish Council of Australia, and the other one is something Council Jury.
Right.
The one is Zionist and one is not Zionist. That's the difference.
Yeah, and one is for it.
The Zionist one is for it, and the anti-Zionist one is against it.
I think that it's like not the main issue. I think it's kind of like, feeling intimidated is part of the contract of living in the West, right? Because you should be able to. That's the whole. I mean, we don't have freedom of speech in this country, but. It's supposed to.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We don't have freedom of speech, so it's really easy to also do this. Because a lot of these laws, I suppose you couldn't even make in the U.S.
Yeah.
Because it goes against your constitutional right. But we don't have those constitutional rights.
I think yeah, I think it is a little dangerous and maybe not a good idea.
Man, my only thing is take your time. There's no
Definitely
extreme,
yeah.
keep the intelligence, keep your own police service so we don't go through with this, but there's no need to
don't rush it. I think, like I said, politically, Albo's
you'll
probably
have unintended consequences that you don't even realize, and it might be directed at you.
Yeah, I think
you're not going to stay in power forever, and
I think Albo's kind of freaking out, because politically it's so difficult to maneuver through. But I don't think those, it's not going to solve. It's not the issue. It's just not the issue. I don't think it's the main issue. I think the main issue is, as I said before, kind of like, kind of intelligence, and then also potentially I don't know, maybe immigration is harsh to say, but I think there are...
The one thing that they have agreed on is making it a lot easier for the Department of Home Affairs to cancel visas based on threats.
I think that's
which
a
again
good
has
thing.
bipartisan support. And that one was the one thing that liberals
fair.
and nationals
Yeah.
that one we're cool with.
Yeah.
So you can keep that one aside. That's fine.
Stricter
The other thing that
vetting.
I think Albo's solution, again, hasn't been written down, but this is what I was reading. One of his solutions, or maybe it was Susan Lee's solution, I don't know. I don't want to attribute it incorrectly, but is that if you are prescribing an organization, if you're banning an organization, it can only be done with consultation from intelligence community and the leader of the opposition. And this is to just calm their nerves that we're going to outlaw you.
Right.
Or we're going to outlaw someone.
Yeah. Can't they do it on a vote-to-vote basis, particular institutions or something, rather than this blanket thing of you can't?
I think they're discussing this as we speak.
Yeah. Look, yeah, we don't want to go... You might vehemently disagree with what someone is saying on the street or protesting, but it's kind of that draconian dystopian thing where it's kind of you can't speak or think. It's no, that's bad. That's bad. That's to be honest, I'm surprised that the whole, at least what the conservative sort of old school train of thought was kind of the whole "don't tread on me" government, don't reduce government overreach. So it would seem sort of strange for me to someone that would call themselves a conservative would be for government legislation.
Said that, I know obviously you also agree with this. I'm not saying that you disagree with this, but there is a certain section of society, such as the Hizbul Tahrir, but there's others. I think that you have to imprison those kind of people.
Yeah, I mean, if it's because
or even
why? Because they're calling for death, violence. They're calling for violence.
In some cases, they're calling for violence, but in a lot of cases, if you want to. You have to create deterrence for ideologies that are openly vilifying. In this case, the Jewish community or whatever.
Yeah, Nazis too, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, it's
at some point, if you are a Nazi and you know the loopholes,
because you're calling for.
And there's also I don't know. Some people, there's split opinion on this. Some people believe that the worst thing you can do is outlawing, for example, National Socialist Network or something like that, because then you actually give them more ammo. Then you make them martyr. There's a subsection of community that sort of gravitate towards them.
Sure.
So you've actually made the problem worse.
Yeah.
And they also say that once they come into the marketplace of ideas, when they have to convince people.
That's what your point was. It's
that is one point.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a point where if you are and I'm talking in terms of, I've learned this through I've learned this with the pan-Islamists, these global caliphate setting, you gotta fucking imprison them. And if they are doing violence, then you have to kill them. Because they...
Kill them? Stop.
Oh, yes. If they're attacking you, then you kill them.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
But you're saying
they live in a whole different world.
Right.
So what I'm saying is to say is sometimes these extremely ideological movements, there's no other way but for the state to fight them.
No, I get that. I'm not saying there should be no intervention. Yeah. I think they're focusing the wrong areas. But Yeah, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. I mean, because I think like protest does, it can pressure governments into, it's a good thing generally, even if sometimes, here's a question. How much, like, at what point do you think a government takes, how many numbers does it take for a government to be influenced by a protest? Like, obviously the walking over the Harbour Bridge for Palestine had an effect on Labor recognizing Palestine, right?
I mean, in Australia, maybe if it's above 10,000, like, you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you'll change your
No, I know.
Policy, but it just means like it's a recognition that there's a community within our society that's against it. So you got to keep that into consideration when you're making future policies. And if the protest numbers like get really, really high, well, then you start getting afraid that maybe I'll lose the election because it seems to be unpopular.
I mean, the Palestine issue, obviously, people feel very strongly about. You can't really deny that. I mean, I think the people that are pro-Israel, let's say, are probably high in numbers as well, and they're less likely to protest because they're probably, I don't know, an older demographic maybe. So maybe maybe protest isn't the most accurate way to disseminate like a population's views. But, you know, I think even if people are sick of protests, they have, you know, that's part of the democratic free society, right? That's the whole thing.
Yeah. That's what we were told.
Yeah. So I think,
I just feel like sometimes
so I'm with you.
Everything that we were told was wrong, eh?
Well, look, I'm with you. I think that like if it's a really outwardly hateful group, it probably already is illegal, or it should be, maybe some things should be amended, like they say, but that's probably enough. And otherwise, they should look at, you know, other areas, you know, like like public institutions, intelligence, police.
Well, there's some like real draconian shit happening on that front too, dude.
What?
So, for
like
example,
they're not,
one of the things that's being tabled is do you remember that case with Antoinette Lattouf from the ABC?
Yeah.
She reposted, I think it was a Human Rights Watch, which was claiming that Palestinians were being subjected to a state-orchestrated genocide by Israel. So she posted that. So she retweeted it or like reposted or something. She got fired by the ABC. And then she went to court.
She sued and won.
But now they're one of the recommendations is, again, I don't know if it's going to get passed or not, but the recommendation is that anyone in any media landscape, if it seemed to be, first of all, anti-Semitic, but then the definition of anti-Semitic encompasses anti-Israel sentiment.
Yeah,
and as a rule, you have to get them out.
Yeah, that's not good, because
so there's that happening.
People are equating a group of people to a government and a racial group are completely. They shouldn't. I know it seems difficult to disseminate those two in Israel, but they're different. They're different because there's people in Israel that
the other thing that
don't agree with the government. So how can you lump both in? Here's another reason why
this I feel is short-sighted, is because all of these new regulations, for example, like one of the things is like at schools you're supposed to teach kids about anti-Semitism and all of that stuff. And I'm thinking, like, I know these are like, I want
that's okay.
the same attitude.
That's fine.
It is. It's completely fine. I would be happy for my kid to go through that. But it's going to create some sort of resentment amongst Australians. Well, they'll start seeing.
You reckon?
I think so. I think they'll feel that they are
being forced into something.
Being forced into like making a community
appeasing.
Man, you can
maybe, yeah. But I mean, has there been pushback on like? Apparently, there's more Indigenous studies put in. Is there pushback against that?
There's pushback on that as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's pushback on welcome to the country.
Yeah, Aussies do like just pushing back on authority generally. I feel.
Yeah. So
yeah, but I mean, but in that case, what do? You just don't do anything. That's not a great solution either, right? Just being like, well, you know what I mean.
But
I think that's a risk you have to take. It's a risk you have to take.
It's a risk you have to take. But like I said,
And they push back on maths probably.
But you have to take your time doing this. That's
don't rush it. Don't rush it. And don't put things into law.
Yeah.
Like, try it out.
Well, I mean, that's the eventual purpose.
Yeah, I know. Eventually. But, like, you can...
Oh, yeah.
There should be, like, a try before you buy.
Yeah, true.
Don't you think?
Yeah, like, sometimes you can have legislations that are only for a certain time period. That it expires in, let's say, 3 years or 4 years.
That's what I mean.
Subject to renewal.
Try that.
Yeah.
Putting stuff into law is... That should not be taken lightly, I think. But I understand something has... At least everybody or the government feels like something has to be done. Whether or not it will solve those issues... I don't know. Look, it's still a heated. Probably won't. It's a heated. This is the thing. That conflict and these kind of like ideological, not even, if you want to call it ideological or political conflicts, they make such massive waves internationally, especially now with the internet, as we've seen, and it's like you can't really legislate that away. I think it's just kind of like
it's a cultural thing.
Yeah, and. I mean, I've told you, I don't know if I said this on the, might have just been the up late, but my friend works with a guy who's like a young white guy from Bondi who grew up in Bondi and I guess watches Nick Fuentes or some shit and is 18 years old. And he was drunk home one night and he yelled at some poor Jewish woman, some anti-Semitic stuff. He got arrested, and he has a court date now. And I don't think it's going to go well for him now because it's court takes a while. This whole the terror attack and all that has happened in the wake of that.
Well, again, this is the point. This is the retrospectivity aspect of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So technically, for normal laws, it shouldn't apply to him because when he committed that offense, supposedly, the offense, that law didn't exist.
Yeah, but he still would have been tried.
In fact, I would argue that this might be controversial, but I think the courts might knock it down just based on that you cannot defy the retrospectivity rule.
Maybe, but the thing is, he was still abusing someone on a racial basis.
Yeah, so he will be charged for whatever laws existed then.
Yeah. But my point is, like, I guess, okay, what I'm saying is another big picture that the government is avoiding is the profound influence of the internet. And how do you police that? I know it's impossible, but a kid from a middle class family is like been essentially groomed into being an anti-Semite, and it's like, just like a sort of punishing someone harder is probably not going to solve the real issue. Is kind of like education and being like, how do you can't stop a kid from watching like extremist YouTubers. So it's like, how the hell? I think this problem will just how do you like curtail that? I don't know, because that shocks me. Honestly. And my mate who works with him, he called me and he was like, bro, this happened. And I was like, yeah, and because he thinks I'm because I'm on a podcast, I know about the culture and stuff. And he was like, dude, what is, can you just tell me like what's going on? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, this wouldn't have happened in 10 years. It's like, this is so intense. This kid, he's not like a criminal. He's like a normal kid. Like, what is happening? And I was just like, yeah, it is crazy. And I basically just relayed to him what I said now, but he was kind of like confused. And I'm like, man, I'll be honest. Like, I'm kind of confused too. I don't know what would bring someone to like, it's quite extreme.
Part of it, we were discussing this is unemployment.
He's employed.
He was employed, but was he underemployed?
No, I think he was working full time.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. That knocks that argument
out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's anecdotal anyway, but like, I don't know. I think it is that someone, I mean, it happens to me. It happened to me. I would sit and watch like Gavin McInnes back in the day and be like, libertarianism is the way to go. Abolish all governments. And then Jordan like sat me down and was like, you realize that means Maccas would have complete control. And I'm like, well, the burgers are getting smaller, and he was like, that's not a good idea. And I'm like, shit, yeah, it happened to me. I fully got it. So like, how do you? But
then like, this is the thing, you got in, but then you got out.
Yeah, but I had like a famous YouTuber mate that had to.
Yeah, but like, I think, look, it's a bit like fashion. there's trends that come.
it is like fashion.
And then it's cyclical, they go away.
True.
All of this stuff, like anti-Semitism or racism, whatever it might be, is a bit, it's trending. It's in vogue. And so when it's in vogue, you can't really make a law. It's like telling...
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you know...
That's what I'm saying.
Those jeans that show your butt crack that illegal, were big, and now they're back now. It's like telling kids, like, those are illegal.
It's like banning Labubu's.
I think they're going to get over it as well. Yeah. Like, eventually. But I think...
you kind of... you have to play things out because... Look, all of this stuff, let's be real. Like, apart from maybe... looking into specifics about intelligence and having a royal commission into that and how this thing happened, that's serious. And that's like numbers, you know, that's not culture. That's like how much, like, that's like facts and numbers. But in terms of the culture, you can't really stamp out things. Like, they just happen. Like, you can say like, hey kids, when like Jake Paul comes to Australia to like, you can win a Ferrari, don't go because he's dumb. You know what, they're going to do it anyway.
They're going to do it, but you know what how they will change their mind? When they don't get the Ferrari and realize it was a scam.
Yeah, exactly.
Then they're going to hate Jake Paul.
But they do get the Ferrari. People still got... But you're right. It's like, this is not worth going to. Yeah, exactly.
So like this whole thing, like, okay, I'll be honest. This whole One Nation stuff, you know, they're going to... Eventually, Aussies will realize they don't have the answers. In fact, they're making it worse. Exactly like Brexit. You think it's like an answer, but it made it worse. And Trump, you know, you think it's an answer, and it's going to make it so much worse. I think everyone, it's in vogue at the moment. And with time, they'll realize that, again, that was also not the right answer.
It is just cyclical. It is. So you're probably right. I mean, I think it's almost like... It's important to talk about these things that they're going to do, but really, you know, people should... I don't know what the solution is, but people should sit down and be like, look, you're kind of like ignoring what is the big picture, and I don't know how. Yeah, the answer's not easy, but it's like, this is not going to...
Again, developing story, so we'll talk about it more. So. Here's some good news. Well, it depends on how you look at it. But the good news is that Australia and EU are at possibly final stages of a trade agreement.
Right.
But what applies to you, Miss Love, and every other Aussie is that one of the things in this trade agreement may be that Australians can live anywhere in the EU.
What?
Work.
No.
Without having secured a job
passport?
first.
What?
So you get a visa without securing a job. So you can just rock up, live there for 4 years.
No.
And after 4 years, if you do have a job, then you can even become a citizen. Same thing would apply to EU citizens coming to Australia.
Damn, this is going to be a big mistake for Europe. They're going to have a lot of annoying drunk people there being like, why do you put mayo on your chips, dickhead?
But what EU wants out of it is, what is their concession that they're looking for?
Yeah.
That, you know how we make feta cheese and we make Prosecco? They're saying you don't have feta, you don't have Prosecco. These are geographical areas, and so only we have the right to call.
That sucks.
Just how we call, this how our champagne is champagne and your champagne is sparkling water. That's how it applies.
I don't like that. Tasmania makes really good French cheese.
Yep, yeah. So you can call it French cheese, but you can't call it feta cheese or like
camembert.
Camembert. Yeah.
That's a crap deal, dude. Yeah. That's gonna screw so many businesses in Australia.
So that's one. Maybe you can get like the other issue.
That's such a European request too, isn't it? It's like you cannot call it this. It's very special from this region. It's like, shut up.
But it's also like, how would you feel if
they made Ugg boots? They make Ugg boots.
You went to like Turkey and you saw Angus steaks and they were just Turkish cows.
But that's just lying. That's different. We're not lying. If someone makes...
No, but like, what if it tastes exactly like Angus?
Listen.
Or it's the same...
No. I've got a very specific answer for this. Of course, because it's food, right? Here's the thing. If an Aussie... I'll use that example. If an Aussie makes cheese in Tasmania as they do, and they call it camembert, here's the discernment, or the same thing with the turkey thing. Here's the difference. If they make it to the kind of requirements within reason, they don't have to use like French water or whatever, but like within reason, within a few degrees of, you know, if the requirements are followed exactly like camembert is made in France, like indistinguishable, like, you know, the same temperature, the same ingredients, the same whatever, then it is completely fine to be called camembert. Same thing in Turkey. If they like got a cow from here and were like, yeah, it's from Australia, or it's like the same breed of cow, then I'd be like, yeah, it's fine. But if you make camembert and you're like, oh yeah, no, we did different temperature cooking, we did different levels of like curd, we just did our own thing, then yeah, it's not. That's fine.
Do you know the difference between Kobe and Wagyu?
Yeah. Kobe has to come from Japan.
Not Japan, from Kobe.
Oh,
the
from
area in
Kobe. Fine.
All Kobe, no, but how is that fine? It's the same thing. All Kobe is Wagyu.
Okay.
But if it comes from Kobe region, it's Kobe.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's Wagyu.
Okay, but yeah, but you're saying so it's not about the animal, really.
It's about the region where it's coming from.
Yeah.
According to intellectual property laws.
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately, in this World War III scenario, no one is enforcing these little laws.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't protect Greenland, then like, you know, these little things are out of the window.
Right.
But
I do also respect the right for the Japanese to say it's Kobe beef as well. So maybe I'm a bit of a hypocrite, aren't I? Because I'm saying, but look, if,
for example, Japanese are pissed off when we call Wagyu. Because so Wagyu meat, which is made from those Wagyu cows, is considered Wagyu meat everywhere.
Yeah.
However, some of what we do is we've mixed the Wagyu breed with our Angus beef, and we call that Wagyu as well, which the Japanese don't like at all.
Well, look,
and America does that on a mass scale.
Yeah, well,
half Wagyu, half American cattle, and they call it Wagyu.
Well, yeah, that's wrong because it's not Wagyu. It's not
Well,
Wagyu.
I mean, there's Wagyu in it.
Yeah, but that's diluting it. So I understand that. So the second argument is agreeing with me because it's not following the rules. But the first one, I get it. Kobe, it's like, listen, if you get an animal from Kobe and airlift it to Perth, it's the same animal.
Yeah, that's still called Kobe.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
But the cheese is not lifted out of France.
I know, but I'm saying if you follow the rules, it's the same. If they get camembert and bloody start mixing it with mozzarella or some shit, it's not the same thing. And call it like you know.
I agree with you, but this is like a minor point for me because I agree that it will screw over the farmers massively.
And
however,
companies
in the long term, it's a marketing issue, right?
Yeah.
Like so, eventually, if your product is good, you'll be able to do it. But yes, initially it'll be a hit. But what I am more concerned about is that every time there is a freedom of human resource movement agreement between two countries, whether it be like
you mean people
EU,
or food?
People, people.
Yeah.
So when people can move labor,
there's a pushback.
every time what happens is that the bigger economy starts gaining labor, and the smaller
like
economy starts losing it.
Like New Zealand,
exactly like New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah.
But New Zealand and Australia is a little bit different because it is almost like you don't have to. You can live indefinitely. You can access Medicare. You can access all different kind of things, which makes it highly. It incentivizes Kiwis to leave New Zealand and come to Australia.
Yeah.
This trade is like it's halfway in between.
Aussies will lose out.
But what I'm saying is like if this becomes like a permanent thing and it is like a truly EU-like thing, that is not good for us.
Yeah, because
it's good for them.
Yeah, because
it's not good for us.
We'll just lose talent.
We'll lose.
But we've got good wages.
But we don't have a market that's big enough. So EU is like 500, it's 500 million people. So let's say you work for a tech company, right? You work in Australia, you provide, let's say, some tech solutions to mining companies. So you make a lot of money. You might be earning $300,000 a year. It's a good amount of money. You live at your home. But the thing is, what EU will offer you is a potential of $1 million if your skills are good enough, because they have such a big market, they have such big profits.
True, I didn't think of that. The
only thing that's stopping you then is, this is my home. I don't want to leave my home. I have family over here.
Yeah.
Can't be fucked to move all the way, right? These are the barriers. There's no other barrier, because if someone went over there, maybe language in certain places. But if someone, the most enterprising ones will overcome it because their profits are going to be astronomically higher in EU, and they'll leave.
That's such common sense that would happen.
Yeah.
Does the government, I didn't think of that. Does the government, is that a concern?
I'm sure it is a concern.
There could just be like a brain drain.
Yeah. Someone said, why don't you just call it Australian camembert? So.
Oh yeah, could you do that? Is that a loophole?
They're not going to agree to that. So they're going to say camembert itself, you can't use.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem for a lot of companies. But like, what are you going to call it? Like Aussie cheese? Like, it's dumb. It's like, it's actually a compliment calling something. Because
they don't see it that way. They see it as like you're eating up a market.
So dumb, because it's also like, first of all, you can't, Aussies wouldn't buy camembert here if it was called camembert and it wasn't 99 point whatever close to the real thing. So like by definition, it is a it's promoting their brand anyway. It's a compliment. Like if you're making a bastardized version, yeah, it's not. But like that's just not happening. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sometimes it's better,
and also sometimes it's better.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
that is the threat. Like
what we can't. What are we going to call? Imagine the Italian. It would be a disaster for Italian restaurants. What are you going to call burrata? Like Aussie cheese balls. Like it's the same recipe. The only Italian restaurants that do well in Australia now are the ones that are they take what Italians do and improve it just because it's better quality.
I agree with you. But I'm just so that's their position. So we'll see where that ends up.
What are you gonna? Yeah, and then also, what about ingredients, products? What about dishes? What now? Now do we have to call paella like seafood and rice? Like what?
Yeah.
That's so dumb. That's insane.
Maybe not paella because there's no like corporate interest behind a unified one.
It's probably patented.
I think you can't patent it anyways, but it is ridiculous. You're right.
But I do like the living in Europe thing.
So, for example, there's a legal case going on in the World Trade Organization over basmati rice, the term basmati, which...
Isn't that just a variety of rice?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it is a variety of rice, but this is how ridiculous it gets. So, like, India launched a case against Pakistan that you can't sell basmati rice. Pakistan then countersued India that you can't use basmati rice.
That's ridiculous.
And so now it's like where it actually came from this Punjab area, which was over here. It's getting super ridiculous. And the answer is like, both of you cunts had basmati. Like
exactly. And it's like trying to patent wheat. It's like, dude, it's in everything. Relax. Like, what are you talking about? It's it's in pasta.
So they're like, wheat is sure a general category. Like, so rice is a general category. Basmati rice, specific one, and has been trademarked.
It has though.
No, they're trying to, but there's a case against
That's so stupid. Then you start getting into like that horrible, scary Monsanto thing where they're trying to patent the genome of a seed, which they've done, I think. It's like, what? You can't... That's insane. You can't...
I agree. And the most sinister example of that is no one really cares about cheese as much, but they do it with medicines. Life-saving medicine.
And that would be way more
intense. Medicine that can be produced for $2 is a life-saving medicine, has to be produced for $200 because this one company has patented it, and they're like... And they can just charge whatever they want because they know that you'll have to buy it.
It's so evil, man. Like, it's so evil. Like, insulin in Australia is like, compared to America, much cheaper because, you know, how screwed the drug companies are in America. But like, that's not a good...
No, it's not.
There should be like... there has to be limits to these things. It's the same thing with like, there should be limits on billionaires' level of income or like higher tax thresholds. It should be the same thing with patents. Like... it's a balance, I understand, but like if a product is, you know, like if they found the cure to cancer, I bet that it would be patented and it'd be like $1 million because they'd be like, we can make all this money. It's like, yeah, but what about ethics and morals? Does that not go into it? You know,
it's all taking a back seat, unfortunately.
Seems to be.
Yeah. All right. What else? Have you heard about Donald Trump's Board of Peace initiative?
No.
So this is like,
Is that
actually,
like he's- is he-
unfortunately, I wish this was just like a little funny thing, but
Is he
it's
trying
actually
to?
quite consequential.
Is he trying to make a new NATO?
Close, new United Nations.
Okay, but it's going to be the same countries, isn't it?
So what he's doing is so you know how he wanted to create a board of peace for Gaza?
Yeah, I love how he just dumbs it down too. It's like the board of peace. It's like it's such a dumbing down.
So he's asking like
Just the name, you know. But anyway,
for sure. Everything is dumbed down. Even the idea is really dumb. Wait for it.
So go on.
So so with the Gaza stuff, he wanted to create a board. So he invited like
the Arab nations.
right.
Yeah.
But now this board of peace, he's saying that this is going to be, and he's invited a lot of different countries, not just Arab nations, Canada. I've got like a list of a few countries that he's invited, and he's asked their presidents or prime heads of state to be part of it. You buy into it for $1 billion. So you have to give him $1 billion each. And then he's saying, but if you do join it,
Oh my god!
you get to be part of the new United Nations.
He's such a real estate agent. It's so insane.
And so like
He's
every
such a
country
real
on
estate
earth
agent.
is now in this position where on one hand, none of them want to do it, but they don't want to say no to Trump because they're afraid of him.
Dude, this is
so everyone's talking about
crazy.
I think Hungary was the only country that was like, yes, we will be honored to be part of it. Everyone else is saying like, we'll consider this. Thank you very much.
my
And no one
God.
knows what to really do about it. And he is saying that this board will make decisions of war and peace globally. And the chair will be Trump himself, and the chair gets to kick out whoever he wants.
Bruh, this is getting really
Some
crazy.
real new world order shit. But I think this is going to be a failure, dude.
I mean, like, I bet he wants Russia in.
He asked Russia in. He didn't ask China in. He asked Russia in.
Like,
He's asked Russia to join.
what?
Yeah, let's look at some of the countries.
And Ukraine?
Actually, I don't know the answer to that,
for
but I don't
fuck's
think
sake.
so.
Bro, this is crazy.
Okay, this is not an exhaustive list, but Albania.
Dude, can I just say right now?
Oh, he has asked Albo.
Yeah, great. Can I just say right now? I apologize for my initial Trump support. Right now, officially, I apologize. I was wrong to even momentarily think he would have done some good.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
You know what's crazy about that is like there's a lot of people that are still arguing that, you know, like, okay, Americans that don't necessarily like Trump, but they want this. They're like, just wait him out. You know, just
It's
wait out
3
Trump.
more years.
But I think it's like from our perspective, it's like 2016 was fool me once, shame on you.
Yeah.
2020 is fool me twice, shame on me. And I was
Yeah.
like, I understand that and there's a bunch of Americans that don't like Trump either.
Yeah.
And want things to go back to normal. But how the fuck can we try? Because you elected him twice.
Yeah.
Half of your country elected him twice. So we can't take those risks anymore, you know?
What do you mean? What risk?
That
Like
we
elections?
That would just like appease US and wait Trump
Yeah.
out. And when the new president's going to come, he'll be all hunky dory. Like, I mean, he's talking like in terms of NATO, you know, Europeans and them stressing out. Like, I don't think it would be right for anyone to trust the US because, yes, Trump is one person, but he got elected by half of the population.
That's true.
And they're going to be there.
That's
I
true.
think best case scenario for like Republicans is like Trump dies next inauguration day, you know, but like, how can we be sure that a new, you know, force like that is not going to come in?
It won't just be business as usual, I don't think.
I think like partly it's ruptured for good now. And this sort of stuff is just like,
maybe
this is like an empire going insane, you know?
yeah, it's crazy.
It's like, why would you abandon United Nations? You formed it.
It doesn't make sense.
You made it, and you got everyone on earth to agree to it, and they still agree to it. If you think that there's too much influence by China, then like try to reclaim that influence. You know, show a more proactive role in it.
Like to give him the benefit of the doubt, I understand that there probably are. How do I generalize it? Like issues with international bloated bureaucracy, right? I'll admit that. Like, I'm sure the United Nations had issues. I understand that Europe would be pissed off with the EU and whoever runs it, Belgium or whatever the hell, whoever's the head of it. Like, I understand that there would be issues. There would probably be, it wouldn't be super efficient. There'd be dodgy deals. I mean, it's all these institutions. No one's perfect. I get that. But rather than, what is a logical thing is to sort of do some sort of investigations within the organizations.
You know where he lost me?
But don't just like destroy the institutions. You have to kind of like vet, like what's the word I'm looking for? Vet them.
May I say, even if you want to do this, don't also be like, give me $1 billion or else.
Crazy.
Like, it's hard for people to trust you at that point. First of all, $1 billion is not even that much money, dude. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Like, it's just like, it's just crazy.
It's like you're asking for lunch money. That's what's happening here.
But it's also like, it's just, I understand that at least on a optics level, maybe it's because of the media, maybe there's some truth to it, I don't know. But I understand that some Americans felt like Americans themselves or the government or the country was getting ripped off, right? I think it was more the people because of like TP, just gutting manufacturing, all that stuff screwed the American people. But that doesn't...
I really don't understand how $30 trillion economy was ripped off.
Well, okay, you're making me question my statement.
Like,
but
at this point, like, most of Europe is like has the same metrics as Alabama, and somehow Europe
is the bad guy. I get it. I'm saying, like, I can understand, at least from an optics point of view. I mean, I believed that when I heard it because I'm like, and maybe it was just a cultural thing where it was like, we're losing our homogeny and our power and influence. So just to the benefit of the doubt a little bit, I understand that, and there was problems in that. I get it, but this is not the solution. This is going to make it like it's just the wrong way about. It's not the solution. Like, I think if Bernie was in, he would have solved the problems. He could have solved those problems.
It is. You're just. This is the best way. I think one of the politicians from Singapore described it. He's like, Trump has just taken the remote and is fast forwarding to multipolarity.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just like, all of this stuff that the US like had to happen, but he's just doing a turbo pace, which is not good for America.
No,
honestly.
it's not.
Because like one of the examples that predictive history guy, you know, the Chinese guy, he makes is that this is exactly what happened with Athens.
Oh, Athens.
It's like Athens. Sparta was like was going insane. All the little city-states around them. So and then Athens beat Sparta, and so everyone was really thankful. Just like after World War II, it was like everyone was really thankful. And like, okay, Athens, you're the new boss now. We're so happy you saved us in Sparta. They were insane.
Yeah.
We're going to support you. You'll protect us, right?
Yeah.
And Athens was like, 100% we're going to do that. And then for a while they did do that, but then they started like losing some of their money and their edge. So then they started like essentially forcing all of these like tributary states that they have to give them more money. Then they even said like, we'll make a common fund where like if anyone gets attacked, we're going to use money from this fund. So everyone was asked to put in gold, and then they just stole the gold. Kind of like how Trump is asking $1 billion each. That sort of stuff. And then eventually how this ended was that all of those states got together and basically started funding the Persians to like come and beat Athens.
Seriously?
Because what had ended, what was initially Athens was like, this is for like our shared values, and everyone's
and corruption.
And then it was like, no, you just give us money because we're not going to protect you if you don't want. And then they were like, well, we don't. Okay, then don't protect us. And then Athens was like, well, you don't have a choice. So then they started like waging wars against these countries. So any country that went against Athens, any state that went against Athens, Athens would like military occupy them, and the whole thing was like, yeah, we're bullies, fuck it. And so that's why everyone got together and started funding Persians, their arch enemies, just so that they can take on the
Then what happened after that?
Well, then actually Athens lost, yeah.
And then Persia, were they
And
like...
well, it's like cyclical. It comes on and go, and then like eventually Athens sort of. But that was actually the death of the mighty the Athenian Empire.
But surely Persia wasn't like a benevolent, lovely...
No, but it doesn't matter if it's a benevolent or
Yeah.
not. Sometimes like your friend can become so monstrous that you're happy with someone else coming in.
Oh my God. It's just like, oh, it's so crazy, man. Because really, in many ways, don't you think America's behaving like Russia?
I think America's just behaving like a declining superpower.
But this sort of...
Whether it be Russia or whoever.
But this sort of authoritarian vibe is Russian style, don't you think?
Yeah, I suppose, but like America can be pretty authoritarian as well.
I'm saying that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But I don't think it's exclusive to Russia.
Yeah, it's not.
I think that's just like
It's not.
It's how like a superpower that's losing its influence will try to protect it, which is do dumb shit, which will make it worse.
It's just like I don't know what his end game is. Like, does he just think he can be like the ruler of the world?
I somehow this is gonna be a little.
Does he think he's gonna be the ruler of the world?
But yeah,
it's
he thinks he's the ruler of the world. Now he thinks that he does. He said his latest thing was, which is, I mean, I don't know if it's scary, but like he said, like now he's like pissed off that he never got the Nobel Peace Prize. So now he's like, I don't want the Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Because like, and I don't even care about peace anymore.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude! It's so child. What? It's so like
he literally said that. I don't even care about peace anymore. Fucked. But you know, like, okay, this is what I was thinking, and this is like a red pill take, but I almost think that this is better that Trump came in, because this would have been a slow process of unraveling.
That's good.
I know. But I'm just saying, like, this transition would have had to happen.
Yeah.
And now that, like, well, and by transition, I mean the world moving from, like, unipolarity, US dominating everything, to like a bunch of different powers dominating it.
Oh,
this makes that transition. So like, because what would have happened is if it was like an Obama-esque character continuing, you would have had resistance in Europe, Canada, and everyone that would have tried to preserve the old natural order, and then they would have been like constant animosity. This entire Trump's ripping off the Band-Aid, what it's making like Europe and Canada realize is like, I think we just need to move to multipolar. So there might have been like some greater conflict between allies versus the new order.
Do you think so?
I'm just talking.
Yeah, that could have. But like, yeah. So you're saying that like what could have happened is, but wouldn't everyone?
I'm saying what could have happened is that
everyone would have been happy though, wouldn't they?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Being robbed. Yeah.
We're not being robbed.
I know.
We're being invaded by the owner of the house.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. It's.
Can
is
you
he knocking? Yeah.
Yeah. One second.
Do you want me to get?
Yeah, just get.
How long have we got left?
Well, yeah, maybe like we can end it after the next segment. But did I lock the whole thing?
I don't know.
Oh hey, how you going?
I'm just literally getting something.
No. You're good.
We're just on the phone. You want to say hello?
No,
That's okay.
She was just grabbing some stuff.
Is the big man with you?
No, he's down at my parents'.
True.
Cool.
We have a guest.
Are you going as well to New Zealand?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
He's going by himself.
All right.
Sweet.
All right.
Bye.
See ya. No,
Don't be
go
sorry.
good.
Well, I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Bye.
That's how we do it live. That wasn't Jordan. It was his
Don't answer if it's the cops.
wife to be. No, dude, you've thoroughly. It's terrifying.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
really like. It's just like. It's like I'm not. I was never on board with the like. Trump should blah blah blah. I'm like, shut up, like whatever, like all the cultural stuff. But like when it starts to get like serious geopolitics, like this invading allies, abolishing, it's like, it's just like.
And you know what the worst thing about Trump is, and this is the scariest thing, which I know has been mentioned a lot before, but like the man cares so much about optics,
Yeah.
that he does not care about substance at all.
Yeah.
So if his casinos go bankrupt, if his real estate business doesn't do well, that's not the problem. Is that he should seem like he's the boss.
Yeah.
So if that applies to his fucking governance model as well, that means America can hollow out from within as long as the media is saying that Trump is boss. And even like invading Venezuela and all of hard power may get you results, but it creates like so many long-term issues.
Right.
That,
like what? Trust?
So for example, Venezuela, like Trump kidnapping the president has made, I'm going to argue that any government that comes now, even if it's a puppet government of the US, will have to pretend to be somewhat independent, because humiliation for nations is a very strong emotion.
Yeah.
Never underestimate it. And what it does is, irrespective of what the ground reality is, for example, my government sucks, America, this might actually help me, it becomes irrelevant. You feel the shame of an imperialist grab.
Yeah.
And so you become anti-imperialist, and this will have long-term consequences.
Gotcha.
So there might be organizations that are being born today that will launch conflicts with the US in 10 years time, 20 years time.
I didn't even think of that.
And so same thing applies with Iran. You can think like you can just do all this, but you're actually losing support over there.
So would you say war is never effective?
It can be effective, but these kind of nation building wars are almost never effective unless you plan on living there and occupying that place for the next eternity and making it into a colony. But if your thing is you just come in, bomb, maybe somehow get the governance to be compliant, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So, Trump, European Union and England and Canada, very pro-Trump. Trump threatens that I'm going to get green light one way or another. Why aren't they more compliant? According to rules, according to Trump's believing, if you throw a great...
Of course they won't be.
Of course they won't be, right?
Yeah.
It's obvious. It's going to be obvious for anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Some of them are too weak right now to counter it.
I think,
they're setting the blocks for future resistance.
You know what it kind of feels like? It feels like he's living in the past where raw power wins. But
raw power wins temporarily.
Yeah.
But long-term raw power always loses. Every single time raw power will lose long-term.
Yeah.
Because the only way you can govern is through consensus. You need to get people on your side before you can actually govern. So unfortunately, you know what the tragedy of this is? The effects of Trump will never be felt by him because he's going to fucking die soon.
Yeah. Well, he'll probably live to 110, I reckon, but yeah.
He won't. He's going to die soon. He's never going to see the consequences that he has created.
Yeah.
And Americans will suffer through it.
Yeah. That's another thing. Through all this, I do feel for poor, low-income Americans, because unless I'm wrong, it seems to me like this, again, on the ground in America, it's cutting wages, no Medicare, they're just getting squeezed more and more, right?
Yeah, for sure. Which is why they're choosing someone like Trump. Again,
it's the old playbook.
The problems are real, but the solutions are worse.
How's Gavin McInnes going to spin this one?
You don't need to, because I
don't think he can. I think he's just not talking anymore. It's
the biggest, I think this is what I feel, the biggest problem that the whole world, including us and the US, has fallen into is being dictated by our emotions. What feels right. What he's saying feels right to me.
Right.
Right? It's all, you give up your thinking faculties and you start going for your gut feelings.
Right.
And that's not a good way to govern. You should always, always try to keep your emotions at bay.
Yeah.
And look at things rationally.
Yeah.
People voted for Trump not because they genuinely believe that Trump is going to be better at governance than Obama.
It was a protest.
But it was it feels right. They let their emotions take over them. Same thing is happening with One Nation and support. It's again, more and more people letting their emotions take over their minds.
Yeah. Definitely. I think with America too, they were frustrated, for fair reasons, with the government in terms of they felt like it wasn't working for them, either party.
yeah.
So they were like, let's just blow it up.
So then they got like a real estate reality TV show conman, and who everyone pointed out is an insane man. And they were like, yeah, we'll do it.
I know.
Because I'm not underestimating the frustration that they had before. But you, again,
it's not helping.
He's appealing to the reptilian part of your brain, and you're making your decisions based on emotions.
Yeah.
And now you suffer the consequences. Right now, they still don't think there's consequences. Right now, some of them are like, well, it's a bit mean that, you know, we invaded Venezuela like that. And the others like, well, we're boss, you know, we did it. That's the discussion. There will come a time when they were like, that was a fucking dumb move to do.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, Iran and Afghanistan, they look at it and go like, that was a dumb move. This is going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
And they will suffer through it.
Yeah.
Like, if you think that Iraq and Afghanistan did not have consequences for America, you're living in fool's paradise.
Yeah, of course it did. Yeah. The money,
and
the
people
death.
people that are suffering from it now because of those wars, future generation will suffer from Trump, and it will be worse.
Yeah.
Because everyone on earth is getting together right now and thinking of how the fuck do we resist America? And they're eventually going to be like, how the fuck do we displace America?
Yeah.
That's the next step.
You have to admit it's like there are problems with the establishment in America because it's so crazy that they didn't put Bernie forward as a candidate. Like, why not? The establishment has to decide that who's going to run, and it's like, yeah, I still think he could have maybe won it if he ran, and then, you know,
he couldn't win the Democratic nomination.
Yeah, I suppose that's just
I
how
think
the system
this
goes.
is actually another point that like some Trumpers argue is that that like Bernie Sanders was like stopped, was like, you know how when people say like 2020 election was not rigged, Trump says, well, it was rigged. And not only that, look at the evidence. Like, even the Democrats rigged the election. They let Bernie Sanders not come into power. They rigged it. They didn't rig. Neither the 2020 election was rigged. Neither was that rigged. It was like, okay, you could argue that the Democratic Party established the rules in a way that was really difficult for someone like Bernie Sanders to come into power.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a bunch of people got together and were like, okay, we're going to illegally keep him at bay.
No, I get that.
Fuck around with the primary voting and everything.
I get that. I'm just saying, like, is there a chance that this whole Trump thing might put shake up the establishment of like politics in America, where obviously it's mental, but maybe it'll shake it up to a point where someone like Bernie can get in, or nah?
I think that can only happen, and again, this applies to us, America, and any country in the world, that when you have gone on this trajectory where like you have chosen some leader and you've chosen a new ideology that's going to govern you, the only way you can put a stop to that is when that ideology or that worldview or that method of governance fails to deliver results and runs into that. Yes, so a lot of them would be against it, but I think that's the only thing that can stop it. I think it's a bit early though.
Yeah, I think
for like those downtrodden Americans that voted for Trump to realize that Trump has made it worse and this is like the bad solution to our problems. Once they realize that, then the whole Trump movement is going to fizzle out, but it might take a while.
Yeah, because I watched sometimes I just check in with old Bernie when he does his little speeches in his office, and he's rare because he has, I mean, this has all been said before, but he has the good qualities of Trump, which are he speaks honestly, he doesn't have talking points, he just speaks like a person. He's not one of these cookie cutter politicians, and he just summarizes like what the crazy shit Trump's done in the last week or month in these speeches. And like the top comment was like, this speech, it was like 5 minutes. It was like, this speech was more heartfelt, concise, and eloquent than anything Trump has said. And then just saying like, we don't even deserve you. Like, America doesn't deserve you, because like,
I was watching Al Jazeera, which again, some people, but there was
Qatar's finest.
It's Qatar's finest, but there was like a Chinese think tank specialist on it, and he was asked to compare, because you know Canada just had Canadian Prime Minister just went to China.
I didn't know.
And they did again hedging their bets anti-Trump. They're like, and he basically when there's like, look, and Canada China had bad relations, and they're on the mend now, and he was essentially because of Trump. But the Al Jazeera interviewer was asking, how do you compare Mark Carney's personality with Donald Trump and their ability to govern? And he was saying, which in hindsight it was obvious, like there's no comparison there. Mark Carney is a successful businessman banker who has achieved a lot of success and Trump is a failed businessman who's a con man.
Yeah.
And it just sort of puts into perspective, like, even on paper, he is such a bad candidate.
I know. It was a protest. It was a fuck you vote.
It was a fuck you.
Did Trump really? Has he ever had a business that was successful?
The Apprentice was undoubtedly successful.
Yeah.
You got to give him that. I think he's had phases of success and then phases of failure.
Yeah.
So with his real estate, there has been a time when it was really successful, I guess, and times when it was like in a big loss-making machine. I think Trump casinos have always been a loss.
Yeah.
So,
he's definitely, I mean, from what I understand, I think he was bankrupt and the banks were like, look, his image is so good that like we'll bail him out, which is technically a success, but it's like that's not good business, going bankrupt and the bank's been like, well, he's a good face. That's not a good businessman. So like, yeah, it's just
also like part of American culture too. I think in a place like, even I would say Australia is different to America, but for most countries, you can't have the head of the state be like, pompous and arrogant and also like really money and just constantly talking about like how much money I have. For most countries, that just goes against the culture of what it means to be head of.
Australians hate that.
Australians wouldn't like that either, right?
They hate that. I think that it is more Australians are being influenced in that direction, or there's always been a subculture of that, like Spanian, where it's like I'm loaded and like criminals basically. But that's generally been frowned upon in Australia. It's just like that tall poppy thing where it's just like, it's like if someone's like, oh, I'm rich, I'd be like, what the fuck do I care, wanker? That's the Australian attitude, which I love because it's like, that's a superficial thing. Like, it's like, that's not something that you shouldn't hate yourself, but you shouldn't be proud, like outwardly proud of that either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like, that's cool. But like, I think through the internet now, like rappers rocking up in a Lamborghini, that is kind of transcending the old Australian thing where it's kind of like, I'm killing it. But like, generally people would be like, fuck off. So that's a good thing. But yeah, you're right. It is very American to be like, it's like, I'm winning. It's like, but it says here you lost. It's like, no.
And now
I feel like a winner.
I don't know how Americans feel about like their president just like flicking fingers to,
like, fuck you.
Yeah, did you see that?
Oh, I did see that. To
like a Ford
worker.
worker, yeah. Who, by the way, got fired from Ford after that.
Because he yelled about Epstein.
Yeah, because he got fired.
Yeah, he was like,
that's such a bad look.
How can you get
for a president? You're supposed to represent these people.
How can that not be seen as?
That was exactly my response. I was like, how can
like how can that not make him dive in the polls?
I think it has, well, not that in particular, but I think his popularity is low, which is why I believe that the midterms is going to be a bloodbath.
Did you hear that he was like, we shouldn't have midterms?
Yeah, of course. Which ironically,
but I don't get that.
But you know why the midterms were supposed to be 2 years after the election?
To keep the president in power, in check.
So that the founding fathers believed that so the president knows where he's going astray. So it has the exact purpose, but obviously.
Like, but the scary thing is, even if the Democrats win the Senate and the House and all that shit, that won't affect him at all.
Yeah, he'll still pass executive, but he'll face more. Right now, I think part of
when does that happen? When are the midterms?
2026. So
this year,
mid of this year. Yeah. I think part of it was also that, like, you know, this when he won the election, 2024 elections,
Yeah.
because he won the popular vote as well.
Yeah.
And the victory seemed like on paper it was a massive victory. It really emboldened him.
Yeah.
He just went on a fucking killing spree after.
Yeah.
So I think the midterms is good. You need some kind of check, dude. You need something.
Yeah.
It's getting ridiculous now.
Oh, it's just like, I don't know what it, like, I'm just confused. It's confusing, you know? Did you see that weird speech he did where he's like, he went during the Epstein files being released?
He's like, oh, wow.
Not
Come
that,
to think of it.
not that one.
We're just looking out of the window
Not that
of like a
one.
non-existent building and going, oh, wow.
Not that one.
Look at that. Wow.
No, not that one.
What are we looking at?
No, not that one. There was another one where, like, in the height of the Epstein thing, he decided to go to like the board into like American board meeting of McDonald's. It was like the Macca's board meeting, and he was like, he did this weird thing where he's like, I like the fish, but one thing I will say is, you've got to put more tartar sauce on the fish. And then he's just like, he knows. He's like, I'm right, aren't I? That's all I want. It's like, bro, poor people eat that shit. It's not food. What are you talking about? Well, it's a
Very
weird
Christian of him
like it's
to go
just,
for the filet of fish.
It's just like there's something gone wrong here. It's like in his mind, and I for the first because let's admit, sort of like what do you call it? What's it like? It's not even a thing now, but you know, like identity politics and all this stuff. It was getting a bit insane, and I understand that Trump was like seen as an antidote to that, to identity. You know what I mean? All that like tribalism, all that crap. But like, so I'm not like I understand why people were angry, but like just on the boots on the ground now, it's like, why is this motherfucker talking about fillet fishes? Real talk.
Well, there's a lot of things you can say. Why is this guy talking about this?
But that one in particular, just honing in on that in particular, it's like, maybe it's because he is just like some dude from Queens, but it's like, man, like I just turned 36, right? I really have realized in my wisdom that like McDonald's is chat. Makes you feel sluggish. How's this guy eating this stuff and going to meetings?
Special man. Anyways,
I like the fish.
thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of Shawarma FM.
Thank you for joining us.
We love yous.
We love yous.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.